Good morning, children. Today we'll begin a new lesson of English main course book, that is, I'm Not Scared Anymore. Before we begin the story, I want to show you some pictures. What do you feel when you see this picture? Do you find these things scary? Or is there anything else that you are afraid of? Have you tried to get over your fear? You know, children, that some people scared of something. Some are scared by seeing water. Some are scared by seeing any insect or thunder, lightning. This story, I'm Not Scared Anymore, is an interesting story about a boy named Amit who was very smart, good, and intelligent. But he was afraid of one thing. It was darkness. And how did he get over his fear? We will learn in this story. Let us begin the story. Amit was a smart boy. He was good at his schoolwork. He was good at sports too. But there was one thing about him that only his parents knew. Amit was afraid of the dark. Amit was really a very smart boy. He was obedient and he was good at his school in almost all the work. In everything, overall, he was a very good boy, obedient. He was good at sports also. But there was one thing that nobody knew about him. He and his parents knew about it, that Amit was afraid of the dark. Amit couldn't really explain why he was afraid of the dark. No one else around him seemed to find it so scary. But to Amit, the inky blackness of the night was filled with frightening noises and mysterious, shadowy shapes. Here, Amit was unable to explain that why he was afraid of the dark. He finds nobody would be afraid around him, but he found everything to be so scary in the night, especially the blackness of the night. He imagines mysterious noises, shadowy shapes, and he felt that somebody was standing outside the door as he hears the knock at the door. One day at school, Amit's teacher made an announcement. We are all going on a camping trip for 2 whole days and nights. It is going to be a great adventure. All the boys were thrilled with the idea and their excitement bubbled over as they made their plans. But all Amit could think of was how he was going to manage during the trip when night came. One day at his school, Amit's teacher, she announced in the class that the class was going for a camping trip. Here, camping trip means a trip to a place with tents or huts where you stay for a short time. An announcement means something important told to a large group of people, just like a class. She announced that the class was going for a camping trip, and all the students of his class were very, very excited. Excitement bubbled over means they felt very excited and they thought that it would be really a great adventure for them. But Amit was thinking that during camping trip, days would be okay. But how would he manage during the trip when night came? It means at night, how would he manage? Because nobody knew that he was afraid of the dark. So he was thinking that during daytime he would be able to manage, he would play, he would enjoy. But at night, how would he manage when the darkness would come around him? On the day of the trip, father and mother came to see Amit off at school. He forgot all his worries for a while. As he got into the bus with his friends, it was grand fun to be together as a group, singing and laughing. It was early evening when they finally reached their camping spot. It was a beautiful green valley covered with small tents. Here, he was thinking that how would he manage the trip at night. But on the day of the trip, his father and mother came to see him off at school, and when he entered in the bus and he got into the bus with his friends, the time spent together as a group was very good for him, and he forgot all his worries. Earlier, what he was scared of, the thing that how would he spare, how would he manage the night, that thing was not coming in his mind. He was enjoying the company of his friend by singing and laughing, and he forgot all his worries. And at evening, when they finally reached at their camping spot, he saw that the sight was very beautiful. It was a green valley covered with small tents. Tents, children, tents are kind of house made by cloth. Amit felt very scared as he saw the tents. He was sharing his tent with Vijay Singh, the toughest boy in his class. Amit was very happy to have Vijay with him, but once he was in his sleeping bag with the darkness of the night all around him, Amit began to feel afraid. Suddenly, he could hear noises everywhere and they were scary. Now, you just tell me that why was he happy to have Vijay with him? Do you know? As Amit was very scared by seeing darkness, and when he saw the tents, he thought that how would he manage? But at that time, he got the news that he was sharing his tent with Vijay Singh, and Vijay Singh was the toughest boy. Toughest means strongest and bravest. So he was very happy that the bravest boy of the class was going to be his partner. So he was very happy. But at night, when he was in his sleeping bag, at night, when he went to sleep, he imagined mysterious shadowy shapes and mysterious noises. And then he felt very scared. He was starting to shake and he bit his lip hard as his teeth started chattering. Amit, Amit! Vijay's voice was low as he called out. It is so dark and I am so afraid. Can you hear that noise? I think there is someone outside our tent. His voice was now almost a whisper. Amit listened to his friend's words. He was too shocked to reply. As Vijay began to cry loudly, Amit sat up and put his arms around his friend. Here, when Amit was afraid, he heard the sound of Vijay. And Vijay was also afraid of darkness. At the time when his teeth started chattering, here chattering means that teeth struck against each other and made clicking sounds because of frightening. So Amit's teeth were already started chattering, and that time he listened Vijay's voice. In low voice, he called out him, and he was so afraid. And he also asked him that was he able to hear the noises? At that time, his voice was almost a whisper. Whisper means when we talk in a very low voice. Amit was so surprised that he did not get any word to speak. At that time, Vijay started cry loudly. Amit became very brave. He sat up and put his arms around his friend to cool him. Hey, come on, he said. He was surprised at how strong his own voice sounded. There is nothing to be afraid of. Amit shone his torch through the opening of the tent. Look, it's just a harmless little owl, he pointed out. Here, when Amit saw that Vijay was very frightened and he started crying, he became very brave and put his arms around him and said him that there was nothing to be afraid of. He shone his torch through the opening of the tent and saw then shown that it was just a harmless little owl. He pointed and he told him, oh, it's just a little owl, you don't be afraid. At that time he was surprised uh, to know that how strong his own voice was. Vijay smiled at Amit through his tears. Amit, he asked slowly, are you going to tell anyone else about this? Definitely not, said Amit truthfully. Oh, thank you, said Vijay. I can't bear anyone teasing me and laughing at me. Do you think that I am very foolish and a coward? Continued Vijay sadly. Here, Vijay asked Amit that was he going to speak about his afraidness to anybody else, that he was afraid of the dark. The toughest boy, Vijay Singh, the toughest boy of the class, was afraid of the dark. And he said that, are you going to say? And Amit said him, no, he was not going to speak anything. And he said he promised his friend that he would not speak a word about this to anybody else. Here, Vijay thanked him and said that he did not want that anybody would speak him or call him a coward. Coward means somebody who is not brave. And then Amit said that he also knew somebody who is afraid of the dark. No, I don't, said Amit. I used to know somebody just like you, but it was a long time ago, said Amit with a little secret smile in the dark. Here, when Vijay asked him that was he going to speak about him, he said, no, he was not going to speak. And then he said to calm his friend that he also knew somebody just like Vijay Singh who was afraid of the dark, but it was for a long time ago, said Amit by smiling, little secret smile he had on his lips. Now, do you know that why was he smiling? Who was? Yeah, it was Amit who was smiling just because he was also afraid of the dark, but here he just over his afraidness. Now he was brave enough and he was not going to be afraid of the darkness. Thank you.